Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, June 20th, 2024. Fire potential impacts for the next few days are shown here. The main impact we have is a little bit of wind today across the southern Great Basin. That wind returns on Saturday. These wind speeds are not super high, but the air mass is quite dry in some of these areas. The other impact we're looking at is an increase in moisture from the south up into mainly eastern Utah for Thursday and Friday, with a few lingering storms on Saturday. Some of these storms will be pretty slow movers and could create flash flood conditions locally. Okay, the past 24 hours were pretty quiet with really no storms or lightning activity. If we look at our fire activity from yesterday, it was pretty quiet as well. Only 6 new fires for 3 acres, and large fire growth was 136 acres. Precipitation for the past 7 days is shown on the left. It has been generally dry, especially for Utah and Nevada, with some storms over the central Idaho mountains in the last week. And then on the image on the right shows our percent of normal for the past 30 days, which also shows a very dry picture for most of Utah and Nevada. And much of Idaho as well, except for there in the central Idaho mountains where they have received a little bit of precip. And western Wyoming has also been fairly dry in the last month. Looking at our ERCs here for a couple of areas across far northeast Nevada, we can see those values are still above normal for the time of year. Even with some of the cooler temperatures we've had, it's still been quite dry across the north. Leading to those elevated ERCs. And then further south over the Fish Lake and Henry Mountains, we can see the ERCs have made a dramatic drop in the last week with cooler temperatures down there. We have seen a bit of an increase over the last couple of days. However, fire danger will be decreasing there today, tomorrow, into Saturday with the moisture that's moving up into that region. If we look at our ERC point map for the region here, values are at or below the 50th percentile still for much of the northern portions of the region, especially central and western Idaho and northeast Nevada. Values are higher further south, mainly over southern and eastern Utah. We do expect, again, those values to be decreasing over the next few days with moisture moving into the area. All right, this morning's satellite imagery is showing that broad area of low pressure continuing to impact the Great Basin with the cooler temperatures that we've seen over the past few days. We will start to see temperatures increase today and rapidly increase as we head into the weekend. And then we are expecting some southerly moisture, or southerly moisture has already begun to move up into southern, southeast, south central, and eastern Utah today and more significantly tomorrow. So for today, again, the trough still remains the major feature weather-wise, keeping temperatures somewhat cool again today, but warming, and we can see a little bit of moisture sneaking up from the south into far southern southeast Utah today for increasing thunderstorm activity there. All right, so probability of precip for today still relatively low and really confined to the far southeast corner of the state. That'll expand a little bit more tomorrow. And then we also do expect some gusty winds in certain portions of the southern Great Basin today. Still below red flag warning criteria, but breezy nonetheless and worth highlighting here. And then definitely expect some gusty outflow winds from any of those storms that develop. Tomorrow, we'll start to see high pressure beginning to develop across the western U.S., especially across the southwest here, increasing temperatures area-wide, very dry air mass on the western half of the area, with increasing moisture in eastern Utah, leading to the increasing thunderstorms and showers there. So if we look at the probability of precip tomorrow, we see quite an increase. Most of eastern and central Utah over the higher elevations, even down into the Arizona Strip and up into western Wyoming as well. All those areas could see some showers and thunderstorms, and again, the possibility of some flash flood types conditions there tomorrow. In Nevada, we can see as we look at the minimum relative humidities, a very dry air mass across Nevada and southern Idaho, and even across the west deserts of Utah. So kind of tale of two cities as we head into the next couple of days. And on Saturday, high pressure strengthening across the southern Great Basin. Thunderstorms will begin to decrease over the east, although we will still see some moisture in place for some afternoon high elevation thunderstorm activity. Still very hot and dry across the western and northern portions of the area. Probability of precip is decreasing as we head into Saturday as the air mass dries out. But some lingering moisture again for some isolated storms in those same areas, southeast Utah, Arizona Strip, and the south central Utah mountains here. Maximum temperatures on Saturday will be quite hot, with especially over the west and north. All those valleys should see highs near 100 degrees, and still very dry over Nevada, western Utah, and southwest Idaho. Okay, three-day precip totals are shown here. This is mainly tomorrow, somewhat today, and mainly tomorrow for central and eastern Utah. Precip amounts here possible up to an inch in some areas, so slow-moving storms could create higher precip totals. And then as we head into Sunday, still that high pressure really strengthens across the southern Great Basin, keeping temperatures very warm across the south. We have some zonal flow moving into the north that will bring temperatures down back into the upper 90s across the north. No high risk. Same story as we head into the first of next week. High pressure keeping things hot across the south and a little bit more mild across the north. Still hot, but not quite as hot. On Tuesday, it looks like another trough is beginning to develop off the Pacific coast here, and the ridge still remains in place over the Four Corners area, keeping things very warm down there. No high risk triggers in the forecast. And then that pattern continues into Wednesday with the high pressure ridge still sitting over the Four Corners area, maybe seeing a little bit of moisture underneath the ridge, keeping the chance for some isolated storms in the afternoon. They're dry over Nevada, dry over Idaho, dry southwest flow in place across much of the area. We'll keep an eye on the wind as we head into the middle of next week. 7-day forecast really shows no additional moisture after today and tomorrow. And Nevada and Idaho are still really staying quite dry through the forecast period. The extended forecast for June 27th heading into July 3rd calls for above normal temperatures across much of the Great Basin, especially the south and east. Chance for below normal temperatures there over far northwest Idaho, and then below normal precipitation over much of Idaho and Nevada, with looks like the beginnings of some monsoonal moisture moving into the desert southwest, and we'll see how much of that starts to creep up into the eastern Great Basin as we head into the first week of July. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.